A call to order the regular meeting of the City of Aransas Pass City Council, May 20th, 2024, at 5:30 p.m. We'll all rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. And I need Jerry Henderson to do the invocation.
Where do you want? Right here at the podium.
Bow your head, please. Father God, we thank you for your presence. We thank you that you're here. We thank you that, God, you have a plan. We thank you that your plan is a good plan. And Lord, we pray right now for your presence. We pray, God, that everything that is said tonight, everything that is done, every decision that is made tonight, that, God, it will bring glory to you, that it will be, Lord, what is good for our city, what is good for our community, so that, Father, we can come together and be united. We thank you, Father, because we know that you're working. We know that you hear us, and we know that you're going to work in this meeting tonight. And we just give you praise and honor. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Ram, can I talk on agenda item number 2? 1, 2.
What's that?
I would like to talk on agenda item number 2, the invocation.
Item number 2 is not an item of business this evening. It's just a ceremonial item, so we're not speaking on that one.
Counting order, 1, 2. I know I graduated from Aransas Pass, but that's 3, so 1 and 2. I would like to talk on agenda item number 2.
Mayor, you can move on to item 3.
All right,
Thank you.
14th Amendment right violation. I'm taking notes on you too, sir. I will come after you too. You're welcome.
Okay.
Good law.
We're going to go to special consideration items, which is consider an act on selecting a mayor pro tem for the ensuing year.
I make a motion to have Kerry Scruggs remain as mayor pro tem.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No. No.
I said yes.
Mayor, the motion passes with a 3-2 vote.
Okay. Now,
Mayor, is there any discussion on that before we move
No.
on, Mayor? Do we have any discussion for that?
what?
Do we have any discussion for that?
I'm hard of hearing, bro. Can you talk a little louder?
Do we have any discussion before we move on that item?
It's already been acted on.
You
have
certainly can have
discussion
discussion
on
on that item. If you'd like to have discussion, you certainly can, but it has already been voted on.
You're supposed to ask for discussion, aren't you, sir?
Well,
Never mind.
can we have this discussion so they can get it over with?
Absolutely.
It's already been voted on. There's nothing to be done about it other than Ms. Scruggs has been mayor pro tem for the last 2 years, and she proved the last meeting that she doesn't even know the charter by not acting on the charter, because the charter says shall. Shall doesn't mean you can if you want to. It means that you will. That's my position on it.
What he's talking about.
This agenda item 2, if I can.
Mayor, there are requests from the public to speak on this agenda item. I recommend that we treat it like a citizens' communication and allow people 3 minutes if they'd like to address the council on this issue.
Thank you. You got some brownie points there, sir. Okay, so this was actually supposed to be done the first time after the election, so I'd like to know why we didn't follow charter. And then y'all repeated it again and didn't follow charter, so I'd like to know how come we can break those laws but we can't talk about anything else? I'm gonna look at the lawyer since you don't ever respond to me, Ram.
Mr. Vollewell, I think you're aware that we don't typically respond to citizen communication.
But you
as
can,
that.
so it's typically is the word, you can, and we all know you can, so let's get rid of the bullshit, you can. Let's not pretend that we can't. So would somebody like to tell me why y'all broke charter twice in a row? It is a law, right? Is anybody gonna get in trouble for that? Ram, I know you weren't here the second time, but you were here the first time, you didn't even call it to order. Joe, I'm not talking to you at all because you're an idiot. Jason, do you know why?
I had this discussion with the attorney earlier, and I guess you could address me on that matter, couldn't you?
Mr. Knight, I would like to encourage you not to engage in dialogue with people at the podium. It is allowed, and you're welcome to do so if
Told
you'd like
y'all.
to do so. Since this item is on the agenda, you're welcome to engage in dialogue with him if you like.
More brownie points. Good job, sir.
I guess the question he asked, that's what you explained to me. I guess you could explain it to me about why it was tabled, couldn't you?
Absolutely. The charter does unfortunately use the word shall as if it should be handled at that very first meeting. And a strict reading of that language would require that the city elect a mayor pro tem at the meeting immediately following the election, which would have been on, let's see, the 6th, prior to Mr. Haskins being seated. It's my understanding that that is not the way it is traditionally handled in Aransas Pass, and that the charter language itself doesn't reflect the practice of the city. Likewise, there is no crime for violating the charter. It is not illegal in that sense. And so the fact that we addressed it at the first regular meeting after the seating of Mr. Haskins is the way that most cities handle that, even though the language itself here is not terribly clear. It's my recommendation that we address this poor language choice when it comes time for the charter amendment process that's likely going to come up this summer. We'll start talking about a charter committee to review the charter and make any recommendations, and this is one that I recommend we put on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And the language is very clear. It says shall, not should, so it's very clear. So I would like an apology from the council about not following charter, even though this man says it's not law, so why do we have charter anyway? When charter is adopted, it is law, so why don't we follow it? Just because there's no penalty for it doesn't mean it's not law. Anybody want to apologize to the public for not doing your job yet again?
I can admit I didn't catch it till that night.
But you did say something on the second time. These guys didn't say anything.
I can tell you from my point of view, Jason, that if we're not going to adhere to the policies of the charter and the writings of the charter, then we're going to have trouble all through the charter. It's going to come up somewhere else where it's going to say, well, you didn't do it here, and now you want to do it here. And you're shaking your head yes, because you understand that that can't happen.
It just happened.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
that's
sir.
what we need to get straight, is if we're going to abide by the charter, let's abide by the charter.
Yes, sir. And I, although I don't generally engage in dialogue with people standing at the podium, I do need to correct a misunderstanding about what I said previously. I did not say it's not illegal. I did not say it's not against the law to violate the charter. What I said, it was not a crime. There is no crime called violation of charter. And so I agree with you completely. The city needs to follow its charter. That is the will of the elected, of the voters of the community, and we absolutely need to do that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go to the consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of this item unless a council member so requests. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
I make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of April 15th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Okay, now we're going to go to public hearings. And we're going to open up the public hearing for the first public hearing on the operating budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025. The second public hearing is scheduled for September 3rd, 2024. Any comments from the audience?
Hello. Okay, so never been here before to a meeting, but my name is Kelly McKnight, and I live in Pelican Cove. So I'm just here about the roads, and I know probably all of y'all have heard we've been trying to get our roads fixed, and we get told something, and then we get pushed back, and then we get told something, and we get pushed back. And I'm wondering, with the budget, for if y'all are doing the budget now for next year, are you going to put money in there that is earmarked for our roads so we know it's not going to go anywhere else? And I know y'all are all busy, but we're not, myself included. I have sent emails to people, I have texted people, and I have come up to the office, and several times I don't get a reply from an email, or a text. And the two times I came up here during the regular hours or whatever, not during lunchtime, there's never anybody available. Nobody is available to talk, and people aren't getting back with us. Now, I know there's someone named Pete, I haven't met him, that's been kind of talking with our COA organization for our neighborhood, and he had texted us or emailed us recently that now, because the Shrimporee's coming up, that they're not going to be able to, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to work on our roads again. What I want to know is, what does the Shrimporee have to do with our roads that it would push us back again for another, 8 weeks or whatever? I don't know. I mean, if there's something going on that I don't know, I just want to know it. So that's what I'm here for.
Is there any talks about the roads out there, David?
Yeah, I wasn't aware that Pelican Cove was on the list. Is it on the repair list?
I called up here and was told that I didn't have to sign anything, that we could just come up, and when the mayor, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. I want to give you the microphone.
When the mayor says, does anybody want to talk, you can get up and talk. So that's what our group is here. We were told we didn't have to sign anything. Also, the person I did speak to, and I told her when I finally got a hold of somebody, is I kept calling and asking for the secretary, and I was not getting any phone call back. So I finally found out there is no city secretary anymore, and there's nobody checking her phone messages or manning her phone. So there are people getting transferred to her phone, and nobody's getting back with us. I mean, that needs to be
her
cleared up.
last day was just Friday. Today's Monday.
Past Friday.
Okay,
So-
all right.
Yeah,
Well,
and we have it on the agenda to hire a new one.
Right.
Or an intern, actually, to take her place temporarily while we hire a permanent one.
Right.
And as what you're talking, okay, I'm gonna say this, as what you're talking about as far as doing city roads, right?
I'm talking about the roads in our neighborhood, which are not our property, but the city,
Right.
the city's property.
Yes. Well, this is my thought on that, okay? Between last year and this year's budget, we have, I want to say, about $800,000 more. And then we're trying to complete a sale of LWR to make sure we get paid for that property, to better put it back on the tax roll. But me personally, I want the majority of that money going to infrastructure for the city of Aransas Pass. And I wanted to start from the old part of the city and expand from there, because we have a whole lot of water lines through the city that are undersized, okay? And I would like to use some of that money, that new income coming into the city, to be able to redo all those lines within the city from a 2-inch to a 6-inch, because we have property within the city that we cannot add new houses to it because the water line is too small.
Right.
Okay, so that's where I want that new revenue coming into the city for it to go.
Now, but
And I
haven't
have
y'all
a-
already
I have-
done
I have-
some of that?
What's that?
I mean, I was reading, and I thought, if I didn't misunderstand it or misread it, that some of those projects you're talking about have already been done. Some of those water lines and stuff, that's already been,
Some of them.
they've
Yeah,
already been
but
fixed,
there's
right?
there's still a bunch of lines within Lamont, within a lot of parts of the city, that initially they put a 2-inch water line which cannot accommodate the whole houses throughout that street. So, and I have already gotten with David to make sure he puts it on his script to be able to start repairing all that infrastructure that is not working for the city of Aransas Pass, which is from storm drain, sewer lines, and the water lines to be replaced. We have done quite a bit of new infrastructure between Highland, Johnson, Beasley, Rhodes. We have done a lot of streets, but we have not had enough revenue to be able to accommodate everything that we actually need. We have a new development coming into town, which is going to put more rooftops on the city to be able to have more revenue so we can accomplish what you're talking about.
Okay, and what I would appreciate would be that instead of someone telling us, we're gonna do this, we'll be there in 2 weeks to do this, or we're gonna do this in 2 weeks, and then there's a reason you don't, and then come back and say, okay, it's gonna be this. Just be honest with us and say, guess what, we're not gonna do it, that's it. You know what I
Got
mean?
that, David?
And explain to
and I-
David too.
I would like to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
because he's the guy in charge of all
Yeah,
that.
For the record,
Okay.
I cannot think of a Pete that works in a department, so I don't know if it's a different name that you might be a
we
little
don't have a
confused with,
Pete.
but we don't.
It's in our neighborhood.
Okay,
Oh.
I was gonna say, okay.
Okay.
But what I was planning to do was, I was gonna get the minutes from tonight's meeting, because I know today we're gonna express, some of the roads and infrastructure. I was gonna take notes of everything that happened, and during our budget presentation that we normally put in PowerPoint, I was literally gonna put every single project with the cost amount and let you guys decide, with the amount of funding that's available, hey, let's do this first, this second, this third, and so on. And if it has to be a multi-year plan, then it will be. But that's what my plan was, to just get the minutes after tonight's meeting. And I heard about Pelican's Cove, and I want to hear about everybody else where they have concerns. And I was going to put in the budget presentation and just be open about it.
Just to readdress the Pelican Cove streets, is that on a list right now?
No,
or
not right now. It's not on the list.
It's not on a list. I didn't think
now,
it was, because we hadn't heard
it's not.
as a council about anything about Pelican Cove streets being on the list.
No, it hasn't
So-
been on the list. But
so-
as of tonight, it will now be in the budget
Okay.
presentation.
So what I encourage you to do is the last council meeting that we had a budget calendar. When we start having the public budget meetings, that's when people can come like yourself and your HOA group, and it's more of an informal setting, and we can discuss that more. But when people come to those meetings and they have, legitimate concerns
Right.
like yours, they normally get reacted on.
Okay, and the name of the person, I'm sorry, that Pete in our neighborhood has been talking to is a Mike DeBonner?
Michael Bonner.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and if y'all could just send us a message or tell us now what the correlation between the Shrimporee and our roads has to do with anything.
There is-
I mean,
There
why
is
would he
none.
tell us that?
There is
Nothing
none.
to do with it.
Okay,
nothing to do with it.
that's what he texted us. That's what we've heard. So that's our frustration.
Well, okay. I understand, but please be watching the council agendas for the public budget workshops.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna,
Most of y'all know me. Hi, Elise Chacon, resident here. I just want to put on the agenda for David, if he could look at water and sewer that go on 8th Street, which is a developed road. And on one side of the road, there is city water and sewer. On the other side, there's not. And to look at putting that in. I think, though, if you go from Greenwood to McClung, there's none. But I know there's a paper road there for Stoddard. So I don't know if it could go all the way through or not, but there's a short section from Greenwood to Stoddard, and then there's from that all the way to McClung. But there's a lot of potential there for rooftops. There's a lot of developers that are actually interested in
yes,
it.
that's why I had reached out to David to make a little script from the old part of the city for us to start from that and be able to do the infrastructure within the city itself, from 7th Street, 8th Street, 9th Street,
Correct.
10th Street.
All of those
or
need to be
whatever it
developed.
is. And I'm hoping out of the new revenue, which is $800,000, for what I understand, and then we're supposed to get paid like $1.4 million. I might be wrong on that part, but I'm not sure. So I want to get the majority part of that to be able to accomplish what you're talking about.
Okay, and then, Carrie, just to point out, because it was a little confusing when you were talking about coming to the meetings to the woman before, this is the first meeting for the public to talk.
Yes.
Correct.
So, but
And
you were
then-
making it say like,
Correct.
come to the meetings, she's like, she's here. So I just wanted to point that out so that if there was a little confusion with the way it was being said.
Yeah, sure enough.
Well, I don't know where she went to. Is she still here?
Anybody else?
I don't know where she is.
Mayor, I got a question for you.
Can you come up to the podium, please?
Yes, I'm sorry, excuse me. We signed up to speak for 3 minutes, correct? We signed up to speak for 3 minutes?
Yes.
Don't we sign something? Is that part of these people coming up here, or is that just something else?
No, right now we're having a public hearing
Only
on
on the taxes.
the budget, so you're welcome to speak
No,
your
I'm-
piece. And what would you like?
I have a different subject. Do I talk about it now? It had nothing to do with the budget.
No.
Are you
this
saying you
is-
signed up
Right,
you
right.
signed up at the back room? That'll be later this evening.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Margaret Bean from Pelican Cove, and I'm just going to touch real shortly on what was previously talked about. There was an attempt for the city to help us with the streets. They did come out when we first contacted them, like in February, and they came out and identified some areas. They spray painted about around the holes and everything that showed what needed to be done. And then we didn't hear anything for the longest time, and the next thing we knew that the person that was a supervisor of being able to take care of that, the city streets, was out for like a month, vacation and medical problems. Well, that put the situation back even further as far as getting anything done. And then we heard about the Shrimporee and other stuff that's taking precedence now. So that's kind of where our frustration is coming in, because there was a time area that maybe some of that area could have been addressed, and then it was put on backhold to other things started coming in that were taking precedence. So that's basically where our frustration is coming from. And yes, I understand, the infrastructure in the future, but some of the problems still need to be taken care of right now before they become even worse in the future. And we talked about the streets and the plumbing and everything. Well, ironically, one of our main thoroughfare street that goes to all the individual canal streets has a sewer line in it that is, the pavement is collapsing right now, and that's backfilling with water. And you have concrete or asphalt that backfills with water, you're going to have gigantic chip holes. So that right there can be a very costly expense later on if that's not taken care of until all these other things are taken care of. Ours isn't as big as the others that you're referring to. It's smaller, but maybe that could be taken a precedence so it doesn't become even bigger problem later on. So I'm just asking, instead of just having the lines drawn out, it's to us we were feeling like we were given a carrot. We're identifying this and that's it. We don't need a carrot. We need the full meal. And we're hoping that part of your budget will be in consideration to help us resolve this problem before it becomes even a bigger problem and expense for the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I declare this public hearing closed, and we're gonna go to community enrichment, which is consider an act and approval of request from the Aransas Pass for youth for sponsorship of the Aquatic Center in their 7th week program on Tuesdays from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. from June 10th to July 28, 2024.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a request that has been an annual request from the Chamber of Commerce. It's for their Aransas Pass for youth. It's using the Aquatic Center on Tuesdays for 5 hours for 7 weeks. And it's something it starts on June 10th and it goes through July 28th. And it's something that has been approved for several years in a row. I haven't been around, but Kaylin tells me that that's a normal request. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, it's the Aransas Pass for youth, correct? It's not the
Right.
chamber. It's the
No, it's
Aransas
Aransas Pass for you.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I make a motion to authorize the use of the Aquatic Center for the student program activities on Tuesdays from 11 to 4, from June 10th to July 28, 2024, at no charge to the organization.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to Development Services, which is consider an act on approving the certificate of construction completion with staff concrete construction for the Houston and Rife Access Road Retaining Wall Project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So in the Northwood Campbell project, there was some erosion on the access road. All the drainage was fixed before that, but then when we started getting the first rain, that access road was actually having a lot of erosion, that it was going to get a little dangerous. So we had to add this retaining wall to keep that material to stay in place. It was funded by the CDBG, so it didn't come out per se from the city's direct general budget, but it has been completed. The contractor who came in basically finished it in a couple weeks, and we're ready to close out the project. So this is just a certificate of construction completion.
Make a motion to approve the certificate of construction completion with staff concrete construction for the Houston and Rife Access Road retaining wall project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to the public safety, which is consider an act on allowing the Aransas Pass Chamber of Commerce to use the use of Con Brown Harbor for the Independence Day Bash celebrated on Friday, July the 5th, 2024.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is in regards to the City of Aransas Pass's Independence Day Bash. It's really just informative. We're not really asking for any permissions as far as like road closures or anything like that. We're really just trying to create an event out of the city's investment in the fireworks show and really bring more items to Aransas Pass so that we can have more visitors to Aransas Pass. So we're starting a little bit small. We are working with Justin Chandler and Dorados. He will have live music. He's already sponsored that, and he's gonna take care of his bar, and we're gonna do some kids activities with the City of Aransas Pass and Kaylin. She's already had those conversations with us. We're gonna add a few more food trucks and a few more activities throughout the day, a boat parade, and some boat rides. So it's really just information so that y'all know that we're trying to work with the Dorados to try to bring more to Aransas Pass and more to the Con Brown Harbor, so we have more traffic out there. The more traffic that we bring to Con Brown Harbor, the more statistics we have, the more developers will look at those numbers, and the more investment we will get and awareness of our harbor and what kind of traffic it brings. So this is really just kind of a way for us to bring more traffic to our harbor so that we can create more studies on it.
I'm okay with it.
I move to allow the Aransas Pass Chamber of Commerce the use of Con Brown Harbor for the Independence Day Bash celebration on Saturday, July 5th, 2024.
It's Friday. It says Saturday, but it's actually
Friday.
It's
My bad.
Friday.
I read
It says
Saturday.
Saturday, but it's really
Yeah,
Friday.
Friday.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to consider an act on allowing the Chamber of Commerce to put a one-time fireworks show during the year's Shrimporee event.
Okay, so evidently we're all about fireworks this year. We would like your support in doing a very small fireworks display at the very beginning of Shrimporee. This is the 76th annual. It is a 7-minute show. We have done our homework on it a little bit because I knew that you would have questions because it is near our parks and our aquatic center, and there is a lot of cars parking out there during the event. So we want to make sure that we take care of any risk that would be out there. There is a map in front of you. What you see in the circle is the fallout zone. So we're going to be using, with your support, we're going to be using 3-inch artillery. The company is Roar Over Texas. It's out of Houston. The fireworks show would be on June 14th, which is Friday night at 9:30, just before the headliner comes on. So in between the starting event and then the headliner comes on at 9:30. So it'd be between that time. It's about 750 shots with a 7-minute show. And the fallout zone for this area safely is 210 feet. However, we're going to use a buffer of 250 feet. All of the people in that group, on that company, are first responders. We also have met with our fire department, and the fireworks are going to be set up on a platform, so they won't be like on the ground. They'll be actually on a platform. And it's also in the process right now being cleared through the Port of Corpus Christi and the Coast Guard, who navigate that area.
That sounds exciting. That'll be good. I make a motion to allow the Chamber of Commerce to put on a one-time fireworks show during this year's Shrimporee event.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're going to go to consider an act on approving the Chief of Police to renew the agreement with the Defense Logistics Agency Disposition Services, which allows the police department to participate in the Excess Department of Defense DOD property transfer programs, formerly known as the 1033 program.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. This program has been around for a while. Our agency has participated in it for several years. This allows law enforcement agencies, we rely on them for certain equipment and equipment needs. The program provides access to such things as armored vehicles, protective gear, firearms, kitchen equipment, emergency disaster operations equipment, and much more. The application to the LACO program is required annually by the agency that runs it. The only difference in this year's application is the exclusion of 2 individuals that are no longer employed with our agency. The program requires a list of approved individuals to go pick up whatever property. So we just excluded 2 that are no longer employed by us. It's the only change.
Make a motion, no? Any questions? No? Make a motion to approve the Chief of Police to renew the agreement with the Defense Logistics Agency Disposition Services, which allows the Police Department to participate in the Excess Department of Defense Property Transfer Program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Okay. Now we're good, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to go into citizen comments, but I'm going to express this notice again. During city council meetings, a member of the public should not engage in shouting, unruly behavior, defamation, personal affronts, profanity, or threats of any kind. All comments from the audience should only be addressed to the mayor and council. Citizens who violate these rules will be asked to cease the violation. If the violation continues, the mayor will ask the person to leave the meeting. And we're going to go to citizen comments. Citizen comments are intended for the matters that are not scheduled on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. Be advised that the Texas Open Meeting Act prohibits the city council from responding and discussing your comments. The law authorizes the following: make a statement of factual information, recite existing policy, advise that this subject may be placed on the agenda for a subsequent meeting.
How y'all doing? I'm Gloria Blackford, proud resident of AP and have been since July 2000. My husband and I built a home here. Our children grew up here and are APHS alumni. We are blessed to live in paradise as we see it. I want to address the matter between Jason Followell and the city. Keep in mind that while I proceed with my comments that this is not an accusation, there is proof on the table which is also public record. According to a source on your end, Jason had a minor problem to fix in his gym, that he became uncooperative. He was given a municipal court ticket and it was miscoded, so the judge dropped the violations with the understanding that he would fix the issue in his gym. The violations are real and true according to this source. So if that's the case, why does Chief Blanchard continue to appeal every time Jason is found innocent? Why is it that there have been 15 appeals? In my opinion, it seems like y'all are beating a dead horse. I think I can speak for many in this town when I say we're tired of it. Everyone sees what's going on. Jason has provided the community with evidence of his innocence to this code enforcement charge. That's why I stand before you. Unfortunately, people are afraid to speak out in fear of retaliation, so they won't. No one wants added drama to their life. It's sad to see that several have been affected. If it were any of you, wouldn't you be a tad pissed off having to fight this for 2 years? Sad that they're not here. And suffer the loss of a job due to retaliatory intimidation to his employer, a friend to some of y'all. Do you think after seeing proof and Jason's push to sue the city of AP, we can pretend there isn't a problem here? The whole world is watching us. That's sad. They're laughing at us. They are seeing what looks like abuse of power in the city, and to many residents it looks and feels like corruption. I have no room to judge y'all, but if corruption is legally proven, I will judge your actions. Everyone makes mistakes, and I think it's time for the appeals to stop. It has had a huge impact in our community and has caused division. In conclusion, I suggest that you all apologize to Mr. Followell if you know you've made a mistake. I want to see you all make it right with Mr. Fuentes' property, please. I can't even. And finally, please solve the case of Elisa Robertson, please. That's what should be on the focus, is stuff like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mayor, you don't follow up here by name? No. Oh, okay. You can go next one.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Congrats to you two gentlemen for coming here. My name's Richard Titus. I live on South Rife Street. I have asked the City Council, I've asked Mr. Edwards, I've asked too many people, how many signatures do I need on a petition to get stop signs put on South Rife Street? 8 months ago. I still don't have an answer. Can this City Council tell me right now, how many signatures do I need on a petition before you act on these stop signs? There's been too many incidences on my street. There's already been a homicide on my street. I don't need one of a different kind on my street. I have been asking for these stop signs for over 8 months because I've had 6 incidents happen myself, to me, and many others I've witnessed. I've spoken to Gary Edwards, Chief Blanchard, Corporal Comack, the committee, David Flores, Tito, the county, but it's a city issue, and I've stated I'm going to get y'all's attention one way or another somehow, politely. Chief Blanchard has even been to my house and saw the problem of 5 long blocks with no stop signs, which makes people do about 60 miles an hour down that road. I've witnessed it many, many, many times. I've discussed it now for over 2 months ago when Chief Blanchard was at my house and looked at the situation. I haven't got a telephone call, nothing from anybody in this situation. I need something done, and if somebody can please tell me how many signatures I need on that petition, I'll have it done.
I don't know how many petition or signatures you need, but Captain Luker is right back there, and I will be addressing him.
Okay. I just feel everybody's blowing smoke up my skirt to make me be quiet and stop complaining. Some of my other neighbors have complained for years about this. And all over town, others all over town are tired of the people speeding up and down our residential areas. And on the West Nelson Street, it's a one-way street. Clearly 2 big signs on each side of the corner. One way, do not enter. But if you look down that street, going the opposite direction, there's a stop sign. Why is that stop sign there? Why don't you take that stop sign out and give it to me and I'll put it in. I've already offered my services to put these stop signs in myself. I'll buy the concrete, just give me the signs. The bottom line is that the buck stops with Chief Blanchard, and it just keeps getting passed on to other people everywhere around, and nothing's getting done. So I could sit here and keep talking about it. I got 20 more minutes I could talk about this issue. Just give me some stop signs,
Sir.
please, before somebody gets killed.
Sir, your 3 minutes are
I'm
up.
going to speak to him.
Sir, your 3 minutes are up. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just about done, so, thank you.
Mayor, good evening, council. The reason I'm asking these questions is I've been on city council, not this one, in my town, probably 5 times in 38 years. And we do things a little different. We sign up, the person that signs up first talks first, second, third. That I don't sit there going, what's going on? That's why I was lost. Because once you sign up, you think you go first, second, and third. Anyway, the reason I'm here this evening, first I know that 98% of the people come in here are coming in for negative things. I bought my house 12 years ago, And back then, this was the armpit of South Texas. It has changed. Harvey changed it. Because when Harvey came in, it cleaned up this town quite a bit because y'all were fortunate enough to get help, to get contractors to clean up all the mess that was around here. So the town is doing much better that way. And I don't know how y'all operate on your tax roll when you only got 8,400 people living in there and no industries. I don't know how y'all survive on these taxes. I live in a small town, we have 1,200 people, you know, and the stuff y'all have to do with that tax money, I don't see how he stretches that far. I know you get federal government help and stuff like that, but I'm just amazed that y'all can do what you do. And y'all are dealing with the stuff that was done 40, 50, 60 years ago. You know, and that's the way life is. Things grow and pipes are too small and pipes are, you know, galvanized and plastic now, not, you know. So I do respect what y'all are trying to do with the tax roll you got, which is almost nothing for the size of town. But the reason I'm here this evening, I own a house on 601 South Rife. Unfortunately, I'm neighbors with him. But he's a good guy, don't get me wrong, he's just a good guy. But, you know, there is a house on our street that's been vacant for about a year. There's 2 abandoned vehicles in the front of it. I don't know if utilities are hooked up to it. I don't know what. It's been abandoned for a year. The gentleman that lived there passed away and his family lost it or don't own it. It needs to be condemned and tore down. It's an eyesore. We have 3 houses across the street from me for sale. Well, when you come to buy a house, you see this thing sitting there. Nobody's going to want to buy those houses with that kind of problem. 630 South Rife. Just take a look at it. It's really an eyesore. Years ago, there used to be a problem with washers and dryers and everything else in front of it. But unfortunately, you know, the man passed away. It's just something that needs to be taken care of pretty quick. I know years ago, y'all have done some demolition on South Rife before when houses that were pretty bad. So, you know, to help your tax roll to get these other houses sold, you know, take a look at it and appreciate y'all's time. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
My name is Texas James Surratt Jr. I live on 513 Webb Street, this is Flower Bluff, Texas. And why I'm here is, honestly, y'all know there's a big drug problem in this town, correct? It's not a secret, okay? So, Joseph DeGrange, I went to school with. That was a suicide, supposedly. Pat Everett, suicide, supposedly. I'm a bandito, I know. We call him by his rocker name, Robo. Heroin overdose. This is enough, guys. How many more innocent lives are we going to have fall into drugs and addiction? You know what I mean? You see these people walking around, the homeless. Why do you think they're around here? Because they're getting drugs. Weed's not the problem. It's heroin, methamphetamine, crack cocaine. Think about it. Y'all know, y'all see all these people around here just walking around half dead already. Why can't we get them help? Why? Why do we not have some kind of program for them? Why are we going to lock them up and throw them in jail? And like the last one, got beat. Think about it. You know, I did 2 years of solitary confinement over there because why? Because y'all thought I had something to do with that little girl. Was that right? And I got that case dismissed. Because you know what? Janet Watley honestly believed I didn't have nothing to do with it. Now, did she? Somebody had to. Somebody was looking out for me. I can guarantee it wasn't the chief. Guarantee it wasn't anybody in the Rockport Police Department and the Sheriff's Department. So why did both of y'all collaborate against me? That's what I'm saying. That's organized crime. But you know what? I know Dennis Ward. He was the one that shot Robo in the chest. And he almost died on the stretcher. You know what he told him? He said, I'm going to kill you when I get out of prison. And that's facts. That ain't no lie. So that's all right to shoot somebody and get away with it? Yeah, I ain't going to lie. He was in the wrong house. That's it. But he was looking for somebody. So y'all can't uphold the law. What do you think is going to happen? It's going to get lawless, right? What happens when all the outlaws have? Because you know what? I didn't take an oath to serve and protect like that man did back there. That's different. I'm just an American citizen. He's taking an oath. That man, hey, right here it's a felony offense to lie in court now. He's taking an oath. But I don't know that man, but I don't know him to be a liar, I can tell you that. And I know Tony Dublin, known him for years. I've known all these cops because I kept getting pulled over in my truck I had. Told you that 85 Toyota pickup. Yeah, I went to spring break. You know what? I was on probation at the time, and I had alcohol. It was minor possession. And I got hit with that. But you know what? They're threatening to tow my truck. But you know what? I wasn't under the influence. But you know, I had to go to alcohol awareness classes. That wasn't right. Just cost me money after money after money. You know, I've been harassed by my city where I live in. I can bring in a stack of papers, man, you'll take all day. You think 3 minutes ain't enough. This is getting out of control, guys. Completely out of control. I mean, you know, I even had worked at the food bank, you know what I mean? Because I had a community supervision that was part of it.
Sir, I'm sorry, sir, your 3 minutes are up.
Really? Thank you.
Mhm.
Next.
Jason Followell. Okay, guys. I would love not to utilize my First Amendment right and calling you people out on your bullshit and being pieces of shit, but every time I come up here, you have your illegal decorum and you talk like you have rights over that, and you don't have rights over our constitutional rights. Please stop writing it so I don't have to come up here and say, piece of shit. I would love to not do that anymore. Thank you. We can be civil if y'all would give us our rights back. Ramp, I know a lot of people have talked to you about me and what's going on, and since the beginning I only wanted an apology. It's too late for that. What I want right now is for Gary Edwards to be fired. You get rid of Gary Edwards and you don't have to see me up here anymore. With that said, if he's fired, we can bring in somebody that's moral and ethical and does the right thing, and that person can do an audit on everybody else and get rid of all the tyrants and the criminals that are in our organization. Speaking what is doing right, David Flores, me and you had a conversation about a month ago, and I informed you that I knew of some racist BS that took place at a city worker. This city worker was fired and the supervisor was not. His supervisor, David, used racial slurs and told him to climb his monkey ass up a ladder, along with some racial dogma that was chalked on the sidewalks. Gary Edwards knew about this too. Nothing was done. In reality, to all the humans out there, color was and is utilized to segregate us. We're all humans. Color doesn't mean shit. Gary Edwards and David, well, David, I know Gary Edwards won't get up here and give a public apology, but David, we citizens of this town do believe you are a good person. I think, personally, you're just oppressed by that man that usually sits there, and he keeps you from being a good person. With that said, we would love to see you give a public apology to that individual and maybe give him his job back. Now then, Randy, if David does not get up here and apologize to that man that he knows what happened, I have the video of what happened. I would love to share it with you to show that he's a racist SOB too. Not you, man, but the guy sitting there. Usually sits there. I'll show you after the meeting, but I do expect David to give an apology, as he is not an elected official like Mr. Gomez, and we have to wait for you to get out of here, Dominguez, even though you keep failing us and failing us and failing us by working with scumbags. It's time for a change. Luker sitting behind me. I would like to know, sir, Melinda Williams, that lady that y'all had come up here, and she is now testifying that she's scared and terrified of me because y'all coached her. I would like to know how come she committed deadly force and you covered it up, you piece of shit. Blink all you want. What are you going to do about it? Nothing, because you're a scumbag. Anyway, I would like that investigated, Randy, if you can help me out with that. It's on my YouTube where she admits she used deadly force, and that man right there covered it up. That's the same man that won't investigate Officer Mr. Chief Blanchard. He says it's not his fucking job. It is your job. And it's policy, but I guess since policy doesn't matter and charter law doesn't matter, y'all can do whatever the fuck y'all want, right? Amen. Praise baby Jesus, you pieces of shit. Covering up, motherfuckers.
Anybody else?
David, you're not going to give that apology? It's coming on YouTube, then.
Thomas Baker, 505 Rabbit Run Road. Apologize for my voice. Some of you up here and some already gone got my attention with that failed annexation attempt. Permission for 3 minutes for people to redress their grievances. 3 minutes is bullshit. Make it 5 minutes for citizens and 3 minutes for everybody else. Let's start with the new city attorney. I hope for the citizens' sake that you have your shit together more than the last city attorney. She has already cost the taxpayers of this town millions with her poor legal oversight. That total will go up by millions before her damage is done. I hope that you, sir, are up to speed on the Constitution and the preemption that goes along with it, backed by numerous case law. Big thanks to this man over here, Jason, and others like him, but not limited to Melissa Esquivel. Let's move on to the council. I don't know any of you personally. You, Jason, claim change, and I've seen you buck the council for transparency and citizen vote. for how taxes, grants, loans, and citizen money is spent. That's commendable politically, and that being said, we shall see where you go from here on out. As a whole, ethically, based on what I and many others know about some of you, it is difficult for any of us to listen to any of you preach about the right thing to do when y'all don't even have your own personal effects in order. I can quickly browse this room and smell a dumpster fire of ethical violations, some secret, some public. Nobody's perfect, but the citizens aren't elected and appointed town leaders preaching ethics on Facebook like the chief does. Kerry Scruggs, this is Aransas Pass, not Rockport or Port A. Put a purple and gold panther on the water tower. It's not your advertisement billboard for your fishing buddies. I've read all of your legal testimonies on the failed annexation, and it was absolutely nothing but excuses and passing the buck. Ram, I don't know how people vote for you over and over again, knowing what I and many others know about you. People have been put in prison for much less. What kind of leader, business owner degrades women that work for them? You can sit up there all righteous and demand some sort of ethical decorum in this room, but we all know who you are and how you treat others, women in general, when you call your female employees fat bitches. Come on, man, there seems to be a pattern in city managerial positions disrespecting women, and not only random women, but women we would assume you would respect. I've been married 24 years, with my wife 26, never once mistreated her in this way. It's not hard. Thinking for one reason or another you can't be held accountable for your misdeeds. Mr. City Attorney, you might need to look into the charter oath code of conduct that these people signed that includes ethical standards, which I assume are fireable offenses.
Good job, Tom.
I'll continue later. Look into that.
Anybody else? Okay, now we're going to go into executive session, and it is 6:23. The Texas Government Code, Section 551.074, to deliberate appointment and employment and duties of the interim city secretary, Tomlinson, city attorney. And it's under Texas Government Code, Section 551.087, to discuss or deliberate the offer to a financial or other institute to a business prospect that the city council seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the temporary of the city of Aransas Pass, and with which the city of Aransas Pass is conducting economic development negotiations. Oh, Lord, Thomas, city attorney.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say the last name. Okay, now.